How do you discover your inner strength? Everyone talks about inner strength. You hear it mentioned in graduation speeches, motivational quotes, and the kind of conversations people have late at night when everything seems a little more meaningful. But figuring out what exactly that means and how you actually discover it for yourself, that's something else entirely. You might imagine that inner strength is revealed only in dramatic, movie-worthy moments, pulling someone from a burning building, giving a rousing speech, standing alone against staggering odds. That's how the stories go, right? But most people's lives don't come with those kinds of movie scripts. Instead, discovering your inner strength is a lot messier and a lot quieter. Usually it starts when you're alone, thinking about the things that make you anxious. Maybe you've spent too long scrolling through other people's highlight reels, comparing them to your behind-the-scenes shots. One morning, you notice something different. You're staring at your own reflection, wondering when you got those dark circles under your eyes. There's a big decision looming, a relationship you aren't sure how to fix, or a goal that feels too far away. For a long time, you've ignored these things. You tell yourself it's fine, you'll get to it later. Except this time, you don't shrink away. Instead, you take a deep breath and you ask yourself, what would happen if I just tried to do one thing differently? Not everything, just one. That question is how it begins. Maybe you decide to have the uncomfortable conversation with your friend, even though your heart's pounding the entire time. Maybe you sign up for the course that intimidates you, or you show up to the gym after a year away. You start, not because you're sure you'll succeed, but because you want to see if you can. And the thing about inner strength is, you almost never notice it in the moment. At first, it just feels like anxiety, like being out of your depth. But then something strange happens. You survive. Maybe you even do better than you expected. You think, well, that wasn't so bad. Which is wild, considering how you pictured it going. The next time you face something hard, you remember that feeling. Not the fear, but the fact that you made it through. Inner strength isn't always loud. Most of the time, it's actually the voice in your head that says, let's try again tomorrow. It's dragging yourself out of bed when you really just want to disappear under the covers. It's giving someone else a hand even when you aren't sure you have enough to give. Sometimes it's choosing to walk away when something isn't right for you, even if everyone else thinks you should stay. That takes a kind of resolve you never knew you had, until suddenly you do. If you're waiting for a sign that you have inner strength, you might already be missing it. Because most of the time, it's built in the boring, repetitive moments. Showing up to work, getting through a tough semester, remembering to call your family, setting boundaries for your own mental health. It's also in how you recover. Inner strength doesn't mean never falling down. It means getting up so many times, it becomes ordinary. You might spend hours replaying the things that went wrong, but at some point, you start thinking about what you'll do next. That's strength. Of course, there are setbacks. You'll wonder if you're strong enough all over again. But you'll remember the last time you thought you couldn't handle something, and how you proved yourself wrong. Years later, when someone asks you how you got through that rough patch, you might not have a grand answer. You'll probably just shrug and say, I did what I had to do. That's how it feels, unremarkable, until you realize it's the whole point. There isn't a finish line. Inner strength isn't something you cross off a list. It's something you build day by day without always noticing. But once you've found it, even a little, you'll start looking back, realizing that every hard choice, every vulnerable conversation, every morning you showed up for yourself was evidence. So how do you discover your inner strength? You pay attention. You survive. You keep going, even when nobody's watching. You try, and sometimes you fail, but you keep getting up. And piece by piece you realize you were strong all along.